discussing about anarthas. And last time we discussed this particular verse. Origin of all anarthas and the remedy. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from a remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbance. And gradually, all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. So, this we discussed last time. Now, we'll go further. So, we have to expect obstacles on our path and be ready to face them. So, one of the reasons why we see acharyas, they are spending so much time to write these kind of scriptures to help us to understand that it is not an easy journey to practice spirituality being in the material world, especially when we from time immemorial have been associated with so many anarthas. We have been associated with lower modes of nature. And that's why the influence is very strong. Many times devotees, those who come to path of spiritual life also. So after they come, then they start facing some problems from their anarthas. And many times devotees feel, why, although I want to practice spirituality, why these anarthas are creating so much trouble? So why? Because from time immemorial we have entertained them. From time immemorial we have associated with them. And that's why their influence is very strong. It is not that because you are practicing bhakti, that's why anarthas have increased. Anarthas are already there. Now, the process of bhakti will take time to have effect on those anarthas. And that's why for a sadhaka, most painful stages, bhajan kriya and anartha nivarti. Most difficult stages are bhajan kriya and anartha nivarti. Most time taking stages are bhajan kriya and anartha nivarti. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he says in his one book that if someone is very serious, then he will take 3 lifetimes to perfect his life. So in that he says 1 lifetime for Nama Aparadh, another lifetime for Nama Bhas, and 1 lifetime to come to Shuddha Nama. So 1 lifetime for Nama Aparadh, he says that means 1 lifetime it takes only to get rid of anarthas. Whereas we see Srila Prabhupada was so merciful, he told that in 1 life we can go back to God. But still in this life also, a sadhaka has to struggle a lot to cross over anartha nivarti. It is not easy. The pushings and the pullings of these anarthas time and again bring down the enthusiasm of a sadhaka. Time and bring down his inspiration to practice spirituality. Time and again they create a doubt in the mind of a sadhaka. Is it a way for me to continue like this? So he's saying one thing is we should have a practical approach. Why? See, in a conditioned state, what is natural for us? Sense gratification is natural. Why? Because we have material senses, and these material senses they can relate more to material sense objects. That's why what is natural for us is sense gratification. But in a material body, having material senses, to connect to the transcendental process of bhakti yoga is very difficult. So one thing is we should have a realistic understanding that it will not be easy for us to practice spirituality. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, a person suffering from jaundice, even though sweet sugarcane juice is given to him, but it will appear like a bitter. So we have to know spiritual life will be bitter for us. We have to know, as in Satyuga, the happiness is that it appears like a poison in the beginning. So we have to know, we need to have a realistic understanding. If we come in the process of devotion service with lot of expectations, that just now because I have become a devotee, so I should experience bliss, I should have very amazing relationships, whatever I think it should become successful, I should not have any health problems, and no tragedy should happen in my life. Everyone connected to me also should have a very bright future. So life will not go like this. We sometimes feel that soon I will be able to chant holy names with so much taste. So life will not be like that. There will be a lot of difficulties because it is not natural in a conditioned stage to practice spirituality. So one thing our acharyas they say that we should have a realistic understanding about practice of bhakti. We are a patient in the hospital and we have to take a disease and treatment will be painful. If being in the hospital, the patient goes with the idea to enjoy, he will make his situation more worse. He goes in the hospital and he is ordering to the nurse, पास्ता मिलेगा क्या? नर्स बोले कि बाबा तुम एडमिट हो, तुम्हारा स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन हम लोगों ने खोल रखा है, ऑपरेशन होने वाला है, तुमको पास्ता खाना है? इज इट नॉट? दे विल ऑल्सो लाफ. So the moment you admit in the hospital, what is our thought process? We are ready to tolerate some pain, knowing that being in the hospital, I have to go to the treatment, I am in diseased condition and pain will happen. And also we are ready, whatever prescription, prohibition the doctors they say. In one conversation, Srila Prabhupada was telling that a doctor should give two things. One is medicine and second is prohibitions. And Srila Prabhupada would say, if any doctor is not giving these two things, then we should not trust that doctor. Like that Prabhupada was telling. So when we enter a hospital, we have a very realistic thought process that they may apply injection, they may give any kind of medicine, they may cut anywhere, and they may give only they may allow only very basic things to eat. We are mentally prepared, so we don't suffer. But when we have a series of expectations when we come to spiritual life and we forget we are in diseased condition, yes, you can enjoy in spiritual life, provided you come out of your diseased condition. It is not that bhakti is boring. It is not that bhakti is misery producing. Bhakti is anandam buddhi vardhanam, provided you are healthy to experience that ananda. So problem is not bhakti, problem is not with bhakti, but problem is with our diseased condition of existence. And we have to know this, that now we have entered into the hospital of bhakti and we'll experience ananda, but not now. So for now, we have to know that the process will be painful and I have to go through this process. And if with patience, if I go through this process, then soon what will happen is I will experience that real anand. If bhakti were so natural for a conditioned stage, then why acharyas would emphasize about dharya so much? Why acharyas would say that you have a patience? Why? Because bhakti is not natural in a conditioned stage. And it will take time for purification to happen. Because of these two reasons, acharyas are saying, have determination and have dharya. Why determination? Because it is not natural, you need to continue. Why dharya? Because it will take time for purification to happen. If you give up in between, or if you lose your enthusiasm in between, then what happens? You degrade yourself further and it will not solve your problems. So we have already created enough problems for ourselves. We have already enough associated with so many anarthas from our time immemorial. Now we have to have a thought process that now I want purification. We need to have a thought process that I am ready to go through any pain which may be involved in this process of purification. Although I may not have taste now, but I will struggle to have that taste eventually. That thought process is very important. In one place, La Prabhupada says the sadhaka should have a thought process of a warrior. Like a warrior, no matter how strong the opponent is, he never gives up the spirit to fight. Even though the opponent may hit him very hard, but then he comes back again to hit him. Same way should be a thought process of a sadhaka. Although the anarthas may knock him down, although the bhakti may appear difficult, but then he gets up again and again he tries to do bhakti very nicely. When with this thought process, we take up to the process of bhakti, then you'll find you'll be able to take that process of bhakti in more better way. And obviously, although we give these kind of analogies of meditation, hospital, and so, but bhakti is a spiritual process. Naturally, if we are trying to take shelter of Lord, so Lord will give mercy. And this mercy component is always there in the process of bhakti, because of which any time Lord can make us feel very happy. Within a moment, Lord can destroy our anarthas. So, in essence, when we take up to bhakti, we should not have flowery understanding of bhakti. We should have a realistic understanding of bhakti. Meaning what? Bhakti is great. Bhakti is transcendental. Bhakti is anandam buddhi vardhanam. But problem is with myself. I am in a diseased condition. You see, as devotees, although we know everything, but how much sincerely we chant the names of the Lord, how much sincerely we try to take shelter of the Lord, how much sincerely we try to remain away from material energy, how much sincerely we try to give up the desires of sense gratification. It is a fact we are struggling. Then how we can expect higher stages of bhakti? How we can expect bhakti to give us ananda? So problem is not with bhakti, but problem is with our struggle. Problem is with our desire. Problem is with our attachments. Problem is with our anarthas. So this is one thing which is mentioned here, that we should have a realistic understanding about bhakti. So he's saying, Antaraya nahi jaya eita parama bhaya nivedana karo anukshana. My greatest fear is that I will not be able to surpass the impediments on the path of devotion service. Hence, I pray to you constantly. So devotee knows actually these anarthas are so overwhelming, but he tries his best and depends on the mercy of the Lord. That is the beauty of bhakti. Although anarthas are great, but the Lord is far greater than those anarthas. And for Lord, it requires only a moment to purify a devotee. And we should have hope that Lord will surely help us. We should have a positive anticipation that Lord is merciful. And it is not a mental adjustment, that is the nature of the Lord. We see that how Lord is very eager. Lord is looking forward to have us back with Him in spiritual world. So although a devotee may see the anarthas very overwhelming, but then he should not get affected by those overwhelming anarthas. And how he not get affected? By having faith on the Lord, that the mercy of the Lord can come and that mercy can purify. So there are four kinds of anarthas: Duskrututta, Sukrututta, Apradutta, and Bhakti Utta. These are four kinds of anarthas which are described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. So Duskrututta, Sukrututta, Apradutta, Bhakti. Duskrututta means anarthas coming from sinful activities. Sukrututta means anarthas coming from pious activities. Aparadutta means anarthas coming from offenses. And Bhakti Utta means anarthas coming from improper performance of devotional service. That is Bhakti Utta. So Duskrit Utta, Sukrit Utta, Aparad Utta, and Bhakti Utta. Now we'll explain why the author does not classify anarthas according to their nature. Anarthas are many, but the remedy is one. One must conquer the mode of passion and ignorance by developing mode of goodness. And then one must become detached from mode of goodness by promoting oneself to the platform of Suddha Sattva. All this can be automatically done if one engages in the service of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. In this way, one can conquer the influence of the mode of nature. So why he is not, very elaborately explaining? So he's saying that although there may be many details about anartha, but the solution is one. That is gradual processes. You first come to goodness and then you transcend. But all this can be achieved automatically by engaging in the service of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. In this way, one can conquer the influence of the modes of nature. Lines. So this is how one can overcome these anarthas. So you'll find in our Vedic scriptures, especially when we take up to the process of Bhakti Yoga, the element of surrender is very important. In fact, Bhakti Yoga starts with surrender. you see that Krishna was not willing to speak to Arjuna unless Arjuna first surrendered to Krishna. First, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, then Krishna started speaking the message of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So, this Sarnagati is very important to take up to the process of Bhakti Yoga. In the Vedic time, those who were real Vaishnavas, they would not go also to any other place. They would be in forest, and those who are very serious about spiritual life, they would come to them in the forest to surrender their life, and then they were enlightened by the respective spiritual master. So for a sadhaka, till the time actually he becomes pure, especially his strength to practice bhakti comes from the faith he has in the spiritual master, in the Lord, and with his willingness to follow the instruction of the spiritual master. So the impetus for a sadhaka is the instruction of spiritual master, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So to the extent we have faith in Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, to the extent we are willing to follow. And for us, Srila Prabhupada is preeminent Shiksha Guru. So preeminent means he is our foremost Shiksha Guru and primary Shiksha Guru. And then all our Diksha Gurus and Shiksha Gurus aligning in the line of Srila Prabhupada, they also speak the same teachings. So we have to see now how we align to the teachings which are given by Srila Prabhupada. And what happens when we align our life in a way where whatever we do, we reflect back, is it authorized by Srila Prabhupada? Is it authorized by his representative? Then what happens is, we are reminded of our spiritual authorities. And second thing is, we follow those instructions very nicely. And then we make lot of progress. So whatever we do, we have to have this thought. Is it authorized by spiritual authority? Anything we do. If we do this, then we are reminded of the spiritual authority and we are able to make spiritual progress. Otherwise, what happens? We are driven helplessly by the modes of material nature, especially the lower modes. So when we attend Mangalati, why we attend? Because Srila Prabhupada wanted. We chant 16 rounds because Srila Prabhupada wanted. We try to do our services and we try to reflect back how Srila Prabhupada wanted. So in that way, we try to surrender to the spiritual master with faith and devotion. And in this way, the influence of the lower modes, especially mode of ignorance and mode of passion, that goes. So these anarthas, which are four, Duskrututta, Sukrututta, Apradutta, and Bhaktiutta. So Duskrututta anartha means anartha which comes from sinful activities. So we see the 16th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is talking about Devi Sampat and Asurik Sampat. So in that the Lord says they are born of this nature. So meaning is from the previous life, the kind of activities we have done, the way we are associated with lower modes also, we develop some samskara, we develop some certain attitude. So those attitude and samskara, they reflect back in our next life also. So those of us who might have done some sinful activity in the past, or we might have behaved sinfully in certain way, or we might had some sinful attitude. So that will reflect back in this life when we take birth. So that is Duskrututta Anartha. So this Duskrututta Anartha also will create problem. Like suppose somebody had a lot of lusty association in the past life. So in this life, naturally, he will have a lot of lusty feelings. So that will create a difficulty for him to practice a spiritual life. Somebody had a lot of anger issues in the previous life. Naturally, it will reflect back in this life. So naturally, for him, anger will be difficult to contain, to control. So like this, like suppose somebody may be too much into intoxication in the past life. So in this life, naturally, he will have a lot of attraction for intoxication. So this is Duskrututtham, especially lust, anger, greed, all these anarthas which we might have entertained in the past life, and they continue their influence more in the current life also. Then Sukrututta anartha means we have done some piety in the past life. Because of that piety, we are supposed to get some resources to enjoy. So you'll be born beautiful. So this is anartha. Why? Because you become attached to yourself and you come more on the bodily platform. You see, those who are beautiful and they get a kind of pride also. I am so beautiful. They will spend half an hour seeing the mirror. So this is anartha because it becomes an obstacle to the process of bhakti. Is it not? Somebody gets a lot of resources, lot of money. So many times you will find before somebody is placed, they are very humble and they take up the path of spirituality also very nicely. But when a lot of money starts coming, then slowly their attitude changes, slowly their nature changes. Why? Because this is also Sukrututta Dharma. Because money creates its influence. And why they are getting money? Because of fight in the past. Or they may get a big position. That also may become an obstacle in their life. Is it not? So this is Sukrut Uttha Anartha. Because of their past, they get material resources, and those material resources becomes an obstacle in their spiritual life. Like Yamunacharya got half of the kingdom. That means that is Sukrututtanartha. But then that half of the kingdom became obstacle in his remembrance of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana. So it became anartha. Because of his piety, the kingdom came, but then that distracted him from the practice of spirituality. Like that. So this is Sukrut Uttanartha. Or you may have a very beautiful singing or speaking abilities or uh, impressing people abilities, and then you become carried by them also because you become proud, and then because of that also you have this problem. Then apradutta anartha, anartha coming from offenses. So these are very serious when we especially offend the devotees of the Lord. Then this is apradutta anartha. And then bhakti uttha anartha are which are coming from the improper performance of bhakti. Like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur he says, inattentive chanting is mother of all offenses. That means when we improperly chant the holy names of the Lord, then automatically the offensive mentality increases. And then we are not able to curb the offensive mentality, and we then finally end up offending the devotees. So then what happens is everything further follows. So when I was attending a seminar by His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj on this Anartha Nivriti, so Maharaj was telling the root of everything is offense. He was telling why we do bad things, why we develop bad attitude because of offense. See, Ramchandra Puri, he offended his guru. Then you see how he became very critical, how he became a fault finder. To an extent, he was seeing fault in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. So Maharaj was telling, when we have offensive attitude, then we will develop many bad qualities. When we have pleasing attitude, then we will develop many divine qualities. So why we end up being in the material world and we associated with so many lower modes? Because originally we developed this offensive attitude towards the Lord. That's how we rebelled against the Lord. And because we rebelled against the Lord, then we came here. And then we see because of that original offense, we started associating with the lower modes. And in this world also, the more we have offensive attitude, then that much we will develop many bad qualities. More we have pleasing attitude, that much we will develop all divine qualities. So in the scriptures, we will find any offensive attitude somebody had. So like this Who was that monkey in Ramayana Leela who had some disrespect for Lakshman? Later on in Krishna Leela, he was killed by Krishna.
Duvida gorilla. Duvida gorilla.
Ha, Duvida Gorilla. So we see Duvida Gorilla, he took part in Lord Ram's pastime. Can you imagine? But then he somehow or other had some disrespect feeling for Lakshman. And because of those some disrespect feeling towards the Lakshman, later on he developed those bad qualities to an extent. Can you imagine? He was trying to attract the gopis who came to have association of Lord Balram. And then we see that how Lord Balram finally killed him. So when we have this offensive attitude, then we will invite so many inauspicious things in our life. When we have pleasing attitude, then we will invite so many auspicious things in our life. And that's how it starts. Everything starts with this offensive attitude. Everything starts from here. And then we develop more and more of these anarthas. So anarthas, now he is explaining them in detail. So duskrut utta. So anarthas arising from previous sinful activities, that is duskrut utta. So they fall in the category of 5 types of klesha previously mentioned. So these are the 5 layers of illusion which Brahmaji creates. So he's saying because of duskrut utta, we have these influence of illusion. So avidya, asmita, raga, dvesh, abhinivesha. So avidya means gross ignorance. That is avidya. In short, avidya means forgetting Krishna. That is avidya. And thinking myself to be body. Dehatma buddhi. That is avidya. Forgetting Krishna and thinking oneself to a material body. Asmita means false ego. I and mine. Aham mameti. That is asmita. Then raga and dvesh. Raga means liking and attachment for those things which give pleasure to this body. Dvesa means trying to avoid those things which will give displeasure to this body. And Abhinivesa means to become absorbed in raga and dvesa. That is Abhinivesha. So actually, a person gets so much caught up in all these 5 that he forgets and how the time passes for him. And he cannot think beyond these layers of illusion created by Lord Brahma because of Duskrut Uttha, because we have done sinful activities. To the extent we have done, to that extent the influence will be more. So avidya means forgetfulness of Krishna. You see, although after hearing, although after trying to remember, it's so difficult to remember Krishna because the influence of avidya is so much. Although everything in the world is uh, the energy of the Supreme Lord. Sun is coming, moon is coming, air is flowing. Everything is because of the divine potency of the Supreme Lord. We are able to breathe, we are able to digest because of the Supreme Lord. Everything manifested, unmanifested around us is because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then still we forget Krishna. We may be staying in our youth center, in temple where we have a main altar where Lord is there, still we forget. Why? Because the influence of avidya is so much. Then asmita. Asmita means so much identifying with aham mameti, me and mine, aham mameti. See, Lord is so merciful, everything He gives and He keeps Himself hidden. And we jivas are so ungrateful. Everything we take from the Lord and we identify this is me. That is asmita. And rag means always you will find. If you observe our mind, 24 hours, what are thought process in our mind? Either related to raga or related to devotion. Raga means this will give me happiness. This will give me happiness. I should have this. I should aspire for this. This surely will make me happy. That is raga. Dvesa means I have to be very careful from this person. He may become obstacle in my pleasure. Oh, this should not happen in my life. If this happens, then I will be so much unhappy. Oh, I have to protect from this situation. I have to protect from this situation. So that is Dvesha. So 24 hours you will find our mind is revolving in Raga Dvesha, Raga Dvesha, Raga Dvesha, Raga Dvesha. And that is Abhinivesh. Abhinivesh means to become fully absorbed in Raga and Dvesha, Raga and Dvesha. And person becomes so absorbed that he thinks the goal of life is to deal with Raga and Dvesha. And he forgets to understand that he has nothing to do with Raga and Dvesha. He is not his body, he is a spirit soul. But the absorption is so much, he thinks and feels that the goal of life is to deal only with Raga and Dvesha. So, in the Vedic time, when a hunter had to catch a bird, so what hunter would do, he would take a hollow pipe and he would hang that hollow pipe to a branch of a tree. And when a bird would come, he would see, a new branch is there. He would sit on that pipe. The moment the bird would sit on the pipe would start rotating. Now bird would think, Arey, what is happening? So he would try to balance on the pipe. So the pipe is rotating and the bird is trying to balance himself. The more the bird is trying to balance, the more faster the pipe is rotating, more than faster the bird is trying to balance himself. Now the hunter comes from front. Now the bird is watching hunter coming and bird is able to have a fear in his eyes. Arey, hunter aa raha hai. Now if you see bird wants, he can just fly. Na? But bird thinks, oh, I need to balance very fast on the pipe. Otherwise, before if hunter comes, then he will kill me. So he is able to see death coming also. बट स्टिल उसका ध्यान कहाँ है पूरा बैलेंस करना है दुख को दूर करना है सुख को लेके आना है दुख को दूर करना है सुख को लेके आना है and like that abhinivesh till last breath a person will have this abhinivesh like that. So he's saying this comes because of duskruta, too much absorption in material life, too much absorption in trying to shut out this body. And we see every life of every species goes like that. नाउ वी आर सो मच कंसर्न मेरे घर का क्या होगा मेरे रिलेटिव्स का क्या होगा मेरी फैमिली का क्या होगा मेरे स्वास्थ्य का क्या होगा मेरी जॉब का क्या होगा मेरे एम्बिशंस का क्या होगा एंड देन फाइनली यू डाई एट a time when Lord wants. And then you are given another body and then you start identifying with that body. मैं ये हूँ. And then again you develop this illusory empire. My family, my relative, my home, my ambition, my desire, my skill set, my name, puja, la, pratishtha. Then again death comes and you are taken off. And like that, absorb life after life, life after life, life after life. So this is a duskrut uttha, anartha. Like that. So actually I have today Bhagavatam class also here in the temple. So what we'll do is we'll end here and we'll continue next Saturday from here.